All right, Tim, thank you so much for being here again. This episode is going to be really cool because I think this is the first time we do a ranking of this band. We've done Whitesnake before, we did the big album, Slide It In, and 87 and Slip of the Tongue. This is the first time we do a ranking for Def Leppard, and the album is pretty obvious if you look behind me.
Yeah.
And you see Tim holding it up there, so it's Pyromania. I think this is probably my second favorite, definitely even my second favorite Def Leppard album. It's always been between High and Dry and this album for me, and they share almost the first spot for me. So sometimes Pyromania is my number one, other days High and Dry. So I think they are pretty much equal in quality, even though the band would probably say that this was a huge leap from High and Dry, just like High and Dry was a huge leap from On Through the Night. So yeah, I think just everything came together on this album. The production, the songwriting, everything about also like the production of this and the recording of this was like revolutionary because they used more like pop, using like drum machines and synthesizers and mixing like those pop elements with hard rock, and they made like an album that no one has done before. So that was really unique, and that was like the goal for the guys and even Mutt Lang to make a really unique album. And yeah, they revolutionized like digital recording and all these types of things. And this was a huge seller for Def Leppard. Not in the UK though.
Yeah, that's the
In the
interesting. That's
UK,
very, very interesting how it was kind of a flop in the UK, and
yeah,
wasn't until Hysteria or Animal, to be specific, that they did much in the UK. So,
yeah.
but
But this was
around the
like
world,
over 10 million sold
yeah,
in the US. They sold a lot of copies of this, and there was even like a time in August, I think, of '83, where it sold 100,000 copies a day.
yeah. I mean,
That's
both this and Hysteria, they set these sort of day sales records.
yeah,
Yeah, and of course, I mean, it was a huge album in its day. But then when Hysteria got popular, it reignited and people started buying it again.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, no, it was there had never been anything quite like it. I mean, you can look, it's just like anything. It's like big movies or anything that leads up to it. You can see where the pieces were that they were drawing from, but no one had put it together quite like this. And no one had even, I don't even know if people had thought about doing it, having, drum machines and lot sequencers and keyboard, a lot of keyboards on this album too, played by Thomas Dolby, who usually he did work a lot with Mutt Lange because he played on Foreigner 4. So yeah, he was uh yeah, no, it was just sonically there'd never been anything quite like it. And I think that it was one it was one of the first like sort of hard rock albums that sold like a pop album. It
yeah,
brought heavier guitar music to an audience that had never even thought about buying anything that was remotely heavy. So yeah, it was a revelation when it came out, and
yeah.
it still holds up, I think, incredibly well. And you know, I couldn't imagine any timeline where Def Leppard would have gone right from High and Dry to Hysteria, because there's such a drastic change. It's not such a drastic change between High and Dry and Pyromania. I've always said that Pyromania is basically a less aggressive, less loud version of High and Dry, but they're very similar in terms of some of the guitar tones and stuff. But Pyromania and Hysteria, you can hear that pop sensibility, and yet they're still doing rock songs.
Yep.
But and obviously we all know the stories of why there was such a gap between them. But for Pyromania, and really, given how the long gaps that would occur between Def Leppard albums, it really didn't take that long for Pyromania to come out. I mean, I think High and Dry came out in summer 1981, and Pyromania came out in the beginning of 1983. So people thought I think the time was you had an album a year, so they skipped a year, right? But this could have easily come out at the end of '82, but then again, you'd have an even longer gap before Hysteria.
Yeah.
Needless to say, it's an all-time classic. Def Leppard are in sort of that category. There aren't a lot of bands that that diamond album category. Not a lot of rock bands in there, and they actually have two. So that just shows you they reached a mass audience that very few hard rock bands will ever reach.
And remember, the only album that kept them from number one was Michael Jackson's Thriller album, and that's the biggest selling album of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, saying if you were number two behind Thriller, you were actually number one, because in any other normal musical climate, that would be the top of the charts. But like Thriller was such a phenomenon that there are a lot of albums that it kept out of the top spot. Van Halen 1984, like there were a lot. So that's like the ultimate, the best way you can come in second place. It's like, yeah, you did good to come that close.
And the next album that Def Leppard did, Hysteria, was basically, and it also beat Michael Jackson at that point, but at his own game. But they had 7 singles for that, which I think Michael, what did he have, like 7?
He had 7. Yeah, so it matched. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
it was basically a version of Thriller when it comes to the amount of singles. Crazy.
Yeah, they're like, why can't a rock band have an album that it comes out, it's basically like already a greatest hits album? And that's what it ended up being, where like literally half the album was a hit.
Yep. But speaking of Pyromania, this album had, I think, 3 singles. So it was Photograph, Rock of Ages, and Fallen, I think was the 3 singles.
You can get
more videos. So
you can get singles for Too Late for Love. But I don't think
it had a video.
Well, kind of a primitive video, and so did Rock Till You Drop. Yeah. The 3 big singles were the ones that you could tell that a lot of money was spent on them. And I will say that for the most part, those Def Leppard videos, compared to a lot of other rock bands doing videos in 1983, those videos have held up very well. They still look pretty cool.
Yeah. But the Fallen video, I haven't rewatched it for this.
That's
in the cross.
Yeah. And the Rock of Ages one, I mean, you can tell it's not meant to be taken seriously. I think the Photograph video still looks really cool. And
but the women in the cages and all that's kind of cheesy.
Yeah,
to be
the
honest,
band, for a lot of people, like that's what that was the first time I saw Def Leppard, was that.
But I think the Fallen video also has him walking around with a sword, I think, right? Or something
like that.
That's
Rock of Ages.
That's Rock of Ages, okay.
Yeah, he's like, he's walking down a hallway or something.
Yeah. That didn't age well, but
the footage of them playing is still
looks really good.
Yeah,
and they look really cool. So and Steve Clark at his prime, seeing him in those videos and everything is just so great. So
the Union Jack, I mean, that's they made that
classic. Yeah, that became really iconic after this period.
Yeah, I know the Who would use the Union Jack, but Def Leppard really made it for the 80s almost a symbol of the band. Like I distinctly remember anytime somebody, like by the late 80s, like Def Leppard were my all-time favorite band, but I remember anytime somebody in my house would get a pair of Reebok shoes, they used to come in a box, and the top of the box was just a Union Jack. So I would cut it out and put it on my wall.
That's cool. That's cool. Even Rick Allen had those shorts.
The shorts. And that picture of them where they're all wearing like the tank tops, that cracks me up every time. That is so silly. Like,
that's silly, but that's really a classic photo shoot. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, but the recording of the album, I think they started in late 81, where the tour for High and Dry concluded. So, and the idea was to gather more riffs and vocal melodies and not entire songs, because they didn't want to get ahead of themselves. And Mutt Lange was instrumental in this process, and really giving them ideas and even playing riffs to them. And what about this? What about that? and all that, because he was way more involved in this than High
Yeah,
and Dry.
I think that
So,
High and Dry was the test run,
yeah,
and getting to know each other kind of thing, and it did better than Pyromania had done. I know that by mid 1982 they had a gold record for the first time with High and Dry. The videos had started to gain some traction on MTV, which was brand new at the time, like it'd barely been out for a year. And now it was like, okay, let's see what happens when we really go out on a limb, and let's not just do a standard hard rock album, a well recorded album. Let's really dig into these songs. And, Def Leppard were a young band that were willing to experiment. I don't think this would have happened with an older band, because, the older bands are kind of set in their ways. I think there's a very good reason why, Foreigner 4 was the biggest album they'd ever had, and it was produced by Mutt Lange. He did not figure into the songwriting. You can hear him on the background vocals on a lot of the songs, but there were, Mick Jones and Lou Gramm were not likely to change the methodology for doing things. But a younger band, I think Mutt could take them and mold them and shape them, and they would be more receptive to his suggestions. So it just worked. It was just a perfect combination of a producer that had all these ideas that a lot of people would dismiss as like, that's crazy. Hard rock band can't do that, or you can't bring those elements into a hard rock album situation. And whereas the guys in Def Leppard are like, well, why can't you?
yeah,
So it really was groundbreaking. And I think that the thing that's there were a lot of popular hard rock bands that I'll say the metalheads, or the guys that read the rock magazines, the guys that went to all the shows, like all the metal shows that came through. They liked Pyromania, but the reason that so many people from outside of that demographic, in a lot of ways, hard rock wasn't a female friendly form of music, but Def Leppard made it all right. And then you just had people that just like pop music of all persuasions that, hey, I really like these songs. So there was something different about it. There was a reason that, it might have come out let's say it came out at the time as another, like, say, decent selling hard rock act. What slowly Pyromania just excelled past everything. Well, there's a reason for that. They
yeah,
just hit upon something that they penetrated into a market that was, I don't think people realized it was a market for really commercial hard rock music. You had bands like Journey and Foreigner that were, I'm going to just say, rock bands. And then you had hard rock bands. Def Leppard created this new style of music almost that combined elements of both.
yeah.
So yeah, it was a phenomenon. It really was. There'd never been anything quite like it, and I think that's why people were like, "Wow!" People seem to be really like, at the record label, we're probably like, "Boy, we seem to be having to keep pressing more copies of this album." And the fact that it continues to sell today, I think, speaks to its greatness.
Yeah. And Def Leppard, and this is true for the next album especially, but Def Leppard is kind of a pop band wearing a rock
Mm-hmm.
disguise.
Yep.
Kind of. Because they deny all the time that they were never part of the new wave of British heavy metal. They don't consider themselves a heavy metal band, and I totally understand that, because basically High and Dry and On Through the Night are the only ones that you kind of can throw into that label.
Yeah.
But Pyromania, Hysteria especially, and Adrenalize, and moving forward after that, they're more of a poppy band wearing this rock disguise.
Yeah.
So I never thought about Def Leppard being a heavy metal band in any way. Though Def Leppard is rock or hard rock.
Yeah.
They're kind of in between there for me. But this album rocks hard. So I would say this album is a hard rock album.
Yeah.
Just like the two previous ones. Hysteria is more of a pop rock album for me at least. So
Yeah, definitely Hysteria. The edges were sanded off, right? Even the guitars, you could tell that there's heavy guitar chords, but they don't sound particularly. There's no harsh tones. It's all very smooth, and I love it. But it was different, and it built upon Pyromania. But now I will disagree with the heavy metal thing. I think On Through the Night is 100% a new wave of British heavy metal album. If you play that album next to Diamond Head
Pyromania's first
or
album.
first couple Maiden albums, it fits right in. There's nothing out of the ordinary about that in terms of them being a young, aggressive rock band. And even though, I mean, it's a heavy album, and then High and Dry is a heavy album. But High and Dry is heavy in the way that AC/DC was heavy. Again, there's the Mutt Lange connection. And AC/DC really were never straight up heavy metal. On Through the Night, though, On Through the Night is a traditional heavy metal album circa 1980. I don't think there's anything, because it's so very different than everything that came after. I really like On Through the Night. I'm glad they've got that outlier. They've got a few outliers, but their early debut album was such an outlier. And some bands do. Some bands have a first album that really doesn't sound anything like whatever came after, because it doesn't. On Through the Night into High and Dry almost sounds like the work of a completely different band. Whereas High and Dry and Pyromania sound like the same band, just changing a little bit. But yes, so I will say that On Through the Night could be very easily considered a new wave of British heavy metal album. But I will agree that Def Leppard weren't exactly a new wave of British heavy metal band. They just happened to make one album that fit right into that. I think Pete Willis had a lot to do with that. I think Pete was the metal fan, the really aggressive metal fan among the five of them. I think that the five guys in the band, certainly the main songwriters, liked a little bit of that, but they liked a little bit of everything. So Joe Elliott liked, he liked a little bit of glam. He liked progressive. He liked your standard, blues rock. He liked a little bit of everything. But it seemed like Pete Willis was the metalhead, and I don't know. It seems like that would pretty much all he listened to. Yeah. And if he was one of the main riff writers, then you're going to have songs that are heavy riff based. And Phil Collen, even though he's certainly not involved with this album nearly as much as Hysteria, he came from a similar background to Joe, more of a glam background, even though he liked Ritchie Blackmore and stuff like that. So all of these things, there's a reason why Pyromania sounds the way it does. It was all of these converging circumstances. But no, definitely not a heavy metal band, and sometimes not even a hard rock band, just a good rock band.
Yeah. And Def Leppard even denied being part of that on the first album. They're like, no, we were never part of that. So, and I can't really argue with the band themselves,
other than the fact that they came out in the same scene, they shared bills with a lot of the same bands. They certainly got the magazine coverage alongside of them. They were putting out the singles and the EPs like all of these bands were doing. So it's just the crazy thing is that, if you look back at that time period, of all of those bands, most of them are footnotes. Most of them are footnotes in history. I don't think most people would know who Diamond Head was if Metallica hadn't covered them so many times. You've got in all of these bands like Praying Mantis and Jaguar and well, not Venom, but I'm struggling to come up with White Spirit, and I'm trying to think of all these bands that were on that new wave of British heavy metal comp. But in among them, you've got Def Leppard and Iron Maiden, who became superstars. Maiden became superstars in more of a metal context, but still popular all over the world and able to go on tour all over the world. And then Def Leppard just became a sensation to the point where they can tour and play, well over a dozen songs that big arena crowds like to sing along with. But yet they started from this very humble do-it-yourself sort of scene in the late 70s, early 80s. So no, they're not really part of it, but they did come up in it. I mean, I think it's a little bit overstated that they're not really part of it. Well, you were part of it. It's just that you were a different part of it. You were on obviously you were on a different path.
Yeah. And they were always like way more melodic than some of the other bands at the time too. So that kind of distinguished them
Yeah.
from that image also.
They had a sense, yeah,
So,
from the beginning, yes. Obviously, they were a lot better. They were more accomplished musicians. They, as Vivian Campbell would say later, they were a rock band that could sing. So you had the great harmony vocals, which a lot of the times you didn't have. A lot of the times, a lot of these younger, these new wave of British heavy metal bands, they were just a bunch of buddies that got together and say, "Hey, you like Judas Priest? I like Judas Priest. Let's write some songs." And it's almost like it's like not like they auditioned the best musicians. They got you play guitar, you play drums. Okay, we need somebody to sing, and they got somebody to sing that maybe he could sing, maybe he couldn't. But it was like, let's just get into a recording. Let's just record a song and put it out. But
yeah.
we're Def Leppard. They were just better.
Okay, Tim. So getting into the ranking of the songs on Pyromania. Now, give us your number 10.
I mean, this is hard because this is a fantastic album. And this is one, I've heard Joe Elliott say they wanted something with no filler on it. And there is no filler on it. But mathematically, something has to come in last. And for me, it's Action, Not Words. A great song. And the one thing that kind of dates this song is the sort of the lyric, "All I need is my video," because
Yep.
videos were quite new at this point. And there was a few bands that did that. And when you write about something that's so current, there is always that danger. Like it sounds like up to date at the time, but after a few years, it's like, wow, yeah, tell me you just emerged in the video age. And they did, and video age did very well for them. They took to it. But that's my number 10. Good song, good rockin' song. Just I don't think it's as strong as everything else.
Yeah, my number 10 is also Action Not Words. This has always been the weakest track for me on this album. I just think everything else is just way ahead of this. I think everything else is just really, really solid to very good. This feels like filler to me at least. So I would say this is the only track on the album that I don't really like, to be honest. Love everything else, but this has always been like the black sheep on this album. So yeah, and you talked about the lyrics and that it dates it, and I know Def Leppard is not the most serious band, and we have songs like "Women" on the next album and all that. Rocket, which is really silly. We have Rock of Ages on this album, Rock Rock Till You Drop. They're not really a serious band. These lyrics talking about shooting his own movie and all I need is my video and the lights, camera, sound. I just think it's really cheesy, to be honest. So, not a huge fan of this, even though I think the riff is kind of cool, kind of good. But the solo is the highlight of the song for me. I love the solo.
Very cool. Yeah,
really great. And who is playing this solo? Is it Phil Collen or Steve Clark? Because I know Phil plays 5 of the solos on the album, but I'm not sure which songs. I know he plays on Stage Fright, but the rest of them I'm not too sure.
I'm really not sure. I should know, but I don't. And it's also, there aren't a lot of songs that have sort of slide guitar riffs like this one does. That's not something Def Leppard did a lot. This almost sounds like musically it was left over from High and Dry. When I say left over, I mean it's still, by any other band standards, it's a really good, strong track. But this kind of gets back into the whole why Def Leppard sold so much better than other bands. If they'd done a 10-song album of songs just like this, they'd have sold to the hard rock crowd that those bands normally did, right? This is, there's a reason it's the second to last song on the album. It's perfectly good. It's just not great.
Yeah, the actual position on the album I think is great. That it's the second to last track. I think it works that way because ending the album on this would be really strange.
It'd be really weak. Yeah, it'd be really weak.
I love that it didn't end on a weak note, so I think that's cool. But yeah, Action Not Words is my least favorite. So I would lump this into some of the filler songs on Hysteria. These are kind of the same quality for me, like Don't Shoot Shotgun and Love and Affection and some of those. Even though I know you and a lot of people love those songs, I'm not a huge fan. So,
but to be honest with you, those don't. If you watch the video I did with Peter Kerr, those didn't rank very high when I ranked Hysteria. Those were some of the first songs I mentioned too. It's just, I wonder if, some of they're the first batch of songs they came up with, or getting their songwriting muscle going. And you, 'cause, I mean, you're not likely to come up with the best song on the album, the first thing we ever wrote. Yeah, and actually, you probably don't want that. You want to improve.
Yeah.
Um,
And this might
so,
be a spoiler if you know what was the first song written for this album. Do you know which song that is?
um, well, I know that. No, I actually don't. I know some
No.
of the songs had different titles, but
I won't say which one it is, but that song is my number one. So the
okay.
first song they wrote and like put together as a finished product, a finished song, that's my favorite. So, but we'll get to that. So yeah, what's your number nine?
Well, it's probably obvious, but it would be Coming Under Fire, which I do. I think already we're seeing a vast improvement because this is a great sort of darker melodic song. I know in recent years the band brought this back into their set, which is kind of cool. But it's good. It's really good. It's really catchy. I just again, I think this album just gets better in my ranking. But this is a really good song. It's just this is where it sits for me.
Oh boy, our lists are gonna be very different. I'm kind of worried by this point because the next song I'm gonna choose, you're probably not gonna agree with this. My number nine is Photograph.
Good heavens. Okay.
That's not gonna be a popular choice, but this is a song that's overplayed for me. This and the next one I'm gonna mention are overplayed for me. I love the song. I know it's catchy. I know it's iconic. I know it's great. If you just look at how this song is constructed, every part of it is great. It's awesome. And this has been one of my favorite songs on the album. But at this point, I'm tired of it. So I've heard it too much, and there's some other deep tracks that I appreciate way more in recent times. So that's why it's low on the list. But then again, this some days this is my favorite Def Leppard album, and I love basically all the tracks except Action Not Words. So Photograph being at number nine doesn't really mean anything because I
Yeah.
still love this song. It's a great song, and I can sing along to it and everything, and air guitar to it, all that. I love it. But for me, it comes at number nine because it's overplayed and I've heard it too much. So yeah,
Um, I understand. I'll put it that
yeah.
way, and we'll get
But
more
you
into it.
don't agree.
I no, I don't agree, but I understand.
Yeah.
So the next one, you see, this is really tough because I mean these are just killer songs. Okay, well this one's going to be controversial.
Let's hear it.
Rock of Ages, Rock of Ages, classic, for all the same reasons. And it's not even that I hear it all the time. It's just they got to go somewhere. This song was always written, and I think people have forgotten this over the years. I've seen it in interviews. This song was always written to be a spoof of rock anthems, and in doing so, became a legitimate anthem. Um, but it's not meant to be taken seriously. But I think it's fantastic. I think that you know, uh, it's a good hard rock song, and the only other thing I'll say about Rock of Ages is that my wife and I were listening to an old American Top 40 countdown from 1983, and Rock of Ages was in the chart. It peaked at number 16, and I can't remember where it was this particular week we were listening to, but it sounded so heavy compared to everything else around it. Like it really broke down barriers for hard rock, this album. And the fact that you can have a song like this that, it was still the early 80s. It was very pop. There was still a lot of singer-songwriter. There was still a lot of like mellow R&B. And here comes nah, 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 like, here comes Rock of Ages. Great song. It's just this is where it sits for me at number 8.
My number eight is also Rock of Ages. So yeah, and this is gonna be so strange for people. Do you prefer Rock of Ages over Photograph? How can that be? But yes, at this point, I do. I don't feel this is a song that's also way overplayed, but I just think this is a really fun song, and you can just throw on in the background and sing along to it and have a good time. Photograph is super high. It's more of I'm not gonna say emotional song because it's really not that, but it has some more dramatic points in it, and you get the highs and the lows and all that. Not really lows because it's high all the time, but you get what I mean. You get the dynamics.
Yeah.
Rock of Ages is just fun all the way through, and I find it more easy to listen to at this point. So yeah, and I also really like how it makes fun of itself basically,
Yes.
and I
Yes, it
think
really
that's
does. It really
awesome.
does. Yeah.
And the intro with Mutt Lang saying that
Yep.
gibberish, Gunter,
Yeah.
Glitten, Glappen, Globe. I just think that's super funny. And yeah, the story behind that basically was they were tired of doing the regular
One, two,
count,
three,
one,
four.
two,
Yeah.
three, four, and they just put a spin on it, and it made a record. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. So I like those novelty things, and you get some of the ad libs from Joe at the end and in the beginning, and you get the laughs and all that. So I think it's just a really fun song. It has some cheesy parts, as I mentioned, but I enjoy it. I think it's just super fun. So that's why it ranks over Photograph. Most people are gonna find that insane, but that's the way it is. So that's
Yep.
my number 8.
That's why it's our rankings, not anybody else's.
Exactly.
And
And if
we're
someone wants to rank, put it in the comments.
yes, yeah, absolutely. My next one is this is tough. I'm gonna go with Die Hard the Hunter. Die Hard the Hunter is probably the heaviest song on here. It's fantastic. It's really dynamic in a way that's it's a little bit different. I actually think the side closers are a little bit different on this album for the fact that they are a little bit more serious, um, but still really melodic and still. I think I love the dynamics this song goes through. No, I really like this one, but I mean, yeah, again, this is number 7, so we're moving up in the track listing, and to me, it's really hard. And the difference between say number 6, number 7, number 8, number 6, it's by degrees, right? And on any other day, it could change. So that's my number 7 is Die Hard the Hunter.
I just have to preface this. We have not shared our lists with each other.
No,
So, and my number 7 is also Die Hard the Hunter. So we have 3 overlaps at this
yeah,
point. This would be interesting to see
yeah,
the rest of them. But yeah, love this song. This riff, it sounds so different. Just before we get Let's Welcome Home Soldier Boy,
yeah.
that before that riff,
Ding, 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 ding,
the
ding, ding,
sound
ding,
of
ding.
it,
Yeah,
it sounds so different. It's such a cool guitar sound. I
yeah,
love that. It sounds really heavy and menacing almost.
yeah.
And it's not an aggressive riff. It's just
No,
really
it's arpeggiated, but it's very dark. Like
yeah.
it's minor key, and it's just very cool.
And you get those air sirens and the like helicopter sound
Yeah,
or something at the beginning, building the atmosphere. This song is, as I've understood it, it's about PTSD from the Vietnam War and
that's
all that.
always the impression that I got. Yeah,
So yeah, it's dark song, like for Def Leppard, wow, and very mature. So
yeah,
I really appreciate that about it. And we get that again on the next album. We get Gods of War, obviously.
yeah,
So Def Leppard can be a really mature band because they basically were. Because at their age, wow, some of the songwriting is incredible. So they were still young. That's the point of it. So
yeah,
they
yeah,
were
yeah.
super
And
young, and yeah. So I think that's cool. Love the guitar solo in this. It's really extended and it has different parts
yeah,
too. And I love that part. Ding, 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 ding,
yeah,
ding. Ding, 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 ding. It's just so cool. And then you get into the next part of the solo. Oh, one of the best solos on the album.
yeah,
Amazing. Love it. Great. So overall, amazing song.
yeah,
So I praise this song a lot, but it's at number 7. And all these songs basically are great, except for one, in my opinion. So it really doesn't matter where they come in the ranking because they're all really, really great. And as you said before, the difference is this small
Yeah,
between some of them.
it's just by
Um,
degrees. Yeah.
so yeah, so Die Hard the Hunter, amazing song, love it.
I also
So
wouldn't change anything about the track listing. I think that the
oh,
sequence makes the most
perfect,
sense.
perfect.
Um,
What's
which
your number 6?
oddly enough, my number 6 is Rock Rock Till You Drop, which is fantastic. It's a great. It's I love the dramatic intro, how it's at halftime. This is, where you get a little bit of the first thing, the first one of the first things you hear is the synthesizer down down, like there's synthesizers and guitars both. But again, you get another one of those arpeggiated riffs. Dun, 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 dun. So it's not a chink, chink, chink like that. It's arpeggiated like single notes. And the riff is kind of very much like something you'd hear on High and Dry. Like it's not unlike Let It Go, where Let It Go is like the pull-offs down, 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 down. Well, this is down, 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 down. But it's great, and it's a great opener for the song. And I can, obviously it was a great live show or live song. It's just this is where it ranks for me, and it's still great. And it's like you just know that you're going to be in for a great album. You're just
Yeah.
it's like this is the start of a great experience, and it must have sounded. I think it's brilliant the way that it is because it starts off the album, and then the next thing most people probably would have heard is the first song most people heard. So I think it's a great way to start the album off. That's where it ranks for me, is at number 6. But like next week it could be number 3. You just never know.
Yeah. Yeah, my number 6 is Stage Fright.
Hmm.
I think this is one of the heaviest songs on the album. You mentioned Die Hard the Hunter. Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
This song, wow, it's super aggressive, both in the vocals, the riff, the guitar solo. That was one of the first things that Phil Collins did for the
yeah,
band.
you can tell
That's
that's him because it's gonna.
amazing.
You can tell that's Phil.
It's absolutely amazing, that guitar solo and everything about it. I just love it, and I like that Joe Elliott goes higher and higher at the end and
Yeah,
holds these notes. Go on with the show at the end. He
yeah,
just holds that, and it's amazing. And I love how the guitars like kind of go down at the end
yeah,
also. I think
yeah.
that's cool, and that's a great transition to the next song also. So,
Oh yeah,
but yeah, that opening riff, "Welcome to my show," and then
yeah, yeah.
it's just so cool, and yeah, everything about it, just a great, great song, and yeah, and this really feels like a song. Could this be played on radio? I don't think so. This is really, really
It's
heavy
couldn't be
for
played on pop radio, that's for sure. It would definitely
yeah.
have to be, more of a rock radio thing, and probably at night.
Yeah, because some of the other songs on this album has that commercial appeal, definitely, and that shows because the success of some of these songs and singles is incredible, and the album overall. But this song really sticks out how aggressive it is, and I love it. It's great.
Obviously the singles are the calling card to get people that weren't already fans to buy an album. But once you get there, it's not like you get 10 versions of one song. It's
Yeah,
quite varied in a good way.
yeah.
So yeah, so now I'm into my number 5, and I'm gonna go with Billy's Got a Gun. Um, I think this is a really cool. This is probably the third, if we're measuring heaviness, it's probably the third heaviest song on the album. It's pretty guitar, like it. Um, Retroactive desert song. Like it's got that same sort of It's just
Yeah.
that Billy's Got a Gun is faster, um, and it goes through a lot of changes too. It goes through a lot of cool dynamic parts, and I'm always amused by, like, because I've been a fan for such a long time, and I was trying to find all the singles and B-sides and stuff. Um, on the Rocket uh, extended EP, where there's a live version of this, and it's at the time I didn't really get clue in. They were talking about Peter Mensch, one of their managers, but Joe's like, the song's about a naughty little boy from New York City And we used to call him Peter Mensch. He changed his name to Billy, and then they went into this song. That's how I always think of that. But a
Yeah.
great song, and to me, we're just heading into just banger after banger.
Yeah. Yeah, my number five is Foolin'. Love it. And this song is so unique to its approach in the vocals in the chorus. Foolin'.
Yeah,
That's just so unique. You never hear that in any other songs, basically. You
no,
maybe have a couple of examples, I don't know. But for me, this was very unique hearing this for the first time. Wow. And it's catchy and it works. So that's great. But getting back to the start of the song, oh, it's so atmospheric.
the
And that
acoustic guitar. Yeah,
guitar. Oh, and you get the keyboard. We haven't mentioned the keyboards that much.
yeah.
But in Die Hard the Hunter, for example, in the chorus, Die Hard the Hunter, and you have the keyboards behind. You hear them. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you get that in the beginning of this song too, kind of some
yeah,
of sound effects, and it's cool. Builds the atmosphere, and wow, Joe's voice.
yeah.
Lady Luck,
Yeah.
never
So
smiled.
melodic. Yeah,
Love it.
yeah,
So great. And then you get into the heavier parts. And when he sings, when you realize that long
yeah. Oh,
ago,
it's
it's
so
so
high.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, you get from his lower, calmer notes and you get super high in his range. It's so great. I love it. And that chorus and even the pre-chorus we have to mention too. Is
yeah.
anybody out
It's
there?
almost you almost get two choruses. They're just as strong and just as hooky.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's precisely it. Yeah. So what a masterpiece of a song. Great. It made my top five for a reason. I love it. And yeah, this was a single, and it had a
yep.
video, as we mentioned
Hmm.
before, and everything. And it's kind of heavy, but it got those commercial parts to it with the chorus, very catchy. So it still has that commercial appeal, but still being heavy, kind of like Bringing On the Heartbreak, which
Yep,
was kind of heavy of a song,
yep,
not compared to the rest of that album, but it had the commercial appeal to it. Same with this.
yep.
So I love that this album is heavy in many parts, but still very commercial and poppy and has that appeal to the masses, which I think they went too far with the next album. So I love that this is a great balance from the earlier stuff that was more heavy, more aggressive, more at the British new wave of British heavy metal sound, as you mentioned before. Then you get to High and Dry, you get more AC/DC type sound, and now you get the more poppy rock thing, but still hard rock.
Yeah,
Then Hysteria gets really poppy. But yeah, I love the blend of this. And we have to mention Pete Willis. We mentioned him briefly before.
yep,
His rhythm playing on this, it's all
yep.
over the album. And of course, he doesn't get really credit for it and all that because he was out of the band at this point due to his drinking problems and all that. But you mentioned before, and we've said on previous shows, he was really the like heavy metal and hard rock guy in the band. So you still get that edge to this album, which
Yeah.
I love. And that's something I think they lost after he left. So that's
Well, yeah, I mean, I
unfortunate.
think people think of this album as, because Phil was in the band and he's in all the videos. So on the surface, it looks like the same band did Pyromania that did Hysteria.
Yep.
The X factor there is Pete Willis,
Yep.
at the presence of Pete Willis and the absence of Pete Willis. I
Yep.
don't think Hysteria wouldn't sound the way it does if Pete Willis had still been a contributing member of the band. So even though I love Hysteria, I've talked about it many times. It is undeniably a very, very different album. But yeah, at this point, yeah, they maybe it is where they perfected that blend of hard rock and commerciality. I don't know. So next one on my list is Too Late for Love. And this is the only real, other than the verse of Foolin', this is the only real ballad on the album, but yet it's a heavy ballad. It's a
Yep.
dark ballad, and it's got some great, great harmony vocals, not just in the too late, but just the wordless part that
Oh,
But while that's going on, junk, chugga, junk, chugga, junk, chuck, you still got that chunky guitar. great melodic guitar solo. It comes back down, it comes back up again. So and then, as if to reward you for listening to the song, we get a brand new part. Dun dun down 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 da down down. Like, oh, it's so good. Yeah, and perfectly placed on the album too, I might add. So it's becoming pretty obvious what our, how our the rest of our songs are, by process of elimination. But that's, well, I think this is the only one that places in my ranking the way it places on the album at number 4.
Cool. Yeah, my number 4 is Billy's Got a Gun. Wow.
Yeah.
This is really, except for Die Hard the Hunter, this is really the epic of the album.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah,
And
the
I
side
love-
closers are really unique that way.
Yeah. And I love that this is the closer of the album. Wow.
Yeah.
And just Joe's vocals on this. Really, really aggressive. And it's amazing. And I also love the gang or backup vocals.
Can you feel it in the air? Yeah.
Yeah, and also when you get that part, like a sheep in a lion's den, and
Yeah.
those, it's so good. Love it. He's gonna get you, and then you get the guitar. Oh, it's so great. Love it. I love also the part in, I think it's the second verse. You hear footsteps in the night,
Yeah.
shadows on the wall, and the ghostly sounds of silence. I love that description. It's
Remember
so good.
remember how when we talked about On Through the Night, I said how Dio could sing Answer to the Master? Well, footsteps in the night. You can hear him sing that part too.
Yeah. Agreed.
Which is odd because at that time, who was this guitar player? Vivian.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, I totally agree with
And
you
it's got that it's got that holy diver gallop.
Yeah. And also the very, very first second of the song where you get the drums.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Burning Heart by Survivor, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the two bass drums and a snare and a cymbal crash.
Yeah.
I never thought of that before, but yeah, it does.
Cool.
It's exactly how it starts out.
Yep.
It gets
And
your
now
attention.
now we get the elephant in the room, which is the last minute of the song.
Oh, I think that was kind of like, well, what
Get
are we going to
that
do at the
drum
end of
loop.
this?
And I get it. It's a gimmick for the vinyl. It plays forever. They did
it's
the
like
same thing on High and Dry.
It's like
with
the
no.
no. Yeah.
But I
it's-
rather take this because that at the end of High and Dry is really annoying if you have the vinyl. You just no. But this works better. But I think it's a gimmick, to be honest. And on the CD, it goes on for like 50 seconds or something,
Yeah.
and then it just ends. But yeah, I'm not too sure about the last minute of this, and that's why it's probably not in the top 3 for me.
Yeah.
Just because of that last part.
To me-
I get it. You
to
can
me, the
just turn it
song-
off if you want,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
To me, the song ends where it's like da-da-dow, bang, bang, da-da-dow.
Yeah,
Done.
exactly.
You can stop it right there. I'm kind of surprised, and I mean, maybe it has, but I'm surprised some hip hop song hasn't looped that and rapped over it. That but
And
That
they
would be
could probably get away with that because it's not that obvious. If you are a huge Def Leppard fan, you would get it. Most people wouldn't notice. So
I think
get it
nowadays,
that-
nowadays, the way that you credit people, I think they'd have to give the band songwriting credit on it. So, just like when the Offspring took the beginning of Rock of Ages, I mean that made them some. I don't like the Offspring, but it made them some money. But anyway, so my next one is Stage Fright. This song I can't think of this song without thinking of the Live in the Round In Your Face home video, because it's the opening track and you've got the Clint Eastwood intro. It's like, do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? And you hear wow, and the curtain, yeah, it's a perfect show opener. I mean, it literally, it just sets everything up, and yet it's got those minor chords. It's not like, whereas Rock Till You Drop is a really party time kind of. Stage Fright isn't like that. It's heavy, it's dark. but it's so great. The solo's fantastic, and um, yeah, to me, I mean, this could have opened the album. I mean, I
Yeah.
like where everything's placed, but this could have also been, if they hadn't written "Rock Rock Till You Drop," this could have been a perfectly good album opener. But and it is, I would say, after "Die Hard the Hunter," the heaviest song on this album. But it is very dynamic, great drumming on it from Rick Allen. I mean, so yeah, and once again, it's in the same position on the album as it is in my ranking.
Isn't that cool that we have two songs on the album that could have potentially opened the album? I get it, Rock Rock Till You Drop is the opener,
Yeah,
but you could have had Stage Fright as the opener too. And also as a show opener. Like on the live at the LA Forum, Rock Rock Till You Drop opens the show.
yeah,
I'm not too sure if it's sequenced as it was played. Sometimes they change the order, but
yeah.
that's like one show recorded, so I guess it's in sequence as it was played.
It is
But
weird that Stage Fright is. I'm just looking at this, like the second to the last song, which doesn't make any sense to me.
yeah,
But
then you have Traveling Band with Brian
yeah,
May and
Brian
all that.
May. Yeah, yeah,
But that's cool that you have two songs that are really like openers. So I think that's awesome. So that's
yeah,
cool. Yeah. So my number three is Coming Under Fire. So there you have a drastic difference from our lists there.
yeah.
Yeah. So what was the position for you? Was it at nine or eight
It
or?
was. It was 9 or 8. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
9.
Yeah, nine.
And it's good.
So it's
It's
number
just
three for
really
me.
really good. So
Yeah. Love the opening guitar. Dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
dun, 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 dun. I think that's great. And then when the drums come in, it's just so cool. And then you get this really thick and almost like how should I say? It's heavy basically. Really thick and heavy guitar riff. Dun, 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 and it's slow and I love it. It's so aggressive and cool. And yeah, this is kind of a heavy song. And Joe's vocals on this amazing, love it. The guitar solo, wow. Also one of the highlights on the album. Incredible. And yeah, the background vocals, the gang vocals on this.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
In the chorus is incredible. You got the coming on the
yeah,
fire. It's
yeah.
so
The
good.
back and forth. Yeah, really good.
So yeah, this has always been one of my favorite songs. Deep cuts. So yeah, I love it. It's great. So that's a huge difference from our list there. But
Yeah,
overall, we've been on the same page basically, except for one
yeah.
song that I ranked really low. But yeah, so
The
that's cool.
difference, on average, the differences aren't that much. It's the ones that are different that are very different.
Yeah. So
uh,
this was very different for us and also photographs. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, so
All
my
right.
number two is "Foolin'," and "Foolin'" is a song that I've only come to like more and more as the years have gone by. I've always liked it, um, and the fact that this, I mean, this was the third single from Pyromania. It only reached number 28 on Billboard in the States, but again, you have to look at it in context. Um, it's a pretty heavy song, and the heaviest part of the song is the chorus. And
Yep.
usually the heaviest part of it's the verses are heavy and the chorus lightens up a little bit. Not here. Um, it's just a
Yeah.
really cool dynamic song. Uh, I love. I think it's Steve on this one, or maybe they go back and forth. But I like the way that the guitar comes in, and the drum parts are cool in it. Even right up to the end. It's such an awesome song, and I like it anyway. With all of that being true, but I have to say that the funny thing is that my sister and I, we have this thing like every April Fool's Day, one or the other will send the other a link to this video. Happy April Fool's Day, and we'll send the video to Foolin'.
Ah,
So,
yeah.
so that's my number two. So I guess yeah. Gee, I wonder how this is going to play out.
Yeah. All right. My number two is Rock Rock Till You Drop. Wow.
Yeah.
The opening of this, wow.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, the great opener of the album. The keyboards make like the entire difference to this. It's
Yeah.
like imagine removing the keyboards at the beginning of this, just having the guitar, it would sound really strange, and it wouldn't
Yeah.
have that like fanfare
Yeah.
epicness to the
Right.
beginning of.
The atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's great. That's probably one of the parts when it comes to the keyboards on this album that made the biggest impact for me at least. So
Yeah.
yeah, great. And also the riff in this is awesome. And I love Joe's vocals on this, as I mentioned before. It's just so great. Really fun. I love at the end when you get, come on, come on, come on.
Yeah.
Hold
Yeah.
on, hold tight, we're gonna
Yeah.
rock tonight. And even in the live versions, when it goes rock tonight, I just
Yeah.
love it. It's so great. And you get too loud, man, too
Yeah.
loud
Yeah.
at
You
the
get a
end.
little bit of the feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it.
And
So
even when he does the come on, come on, come on part, the guitar like the guitar flurry
yeah.
during that section. Yeah, no, it's good.
So
Great.
this song really gets you pumped up to listen
Yeah.
to the rest of the
Yeah.
album.
Yeah,
I just
it is really the perfect opener for this album.
yeah. And the guitar solo in this too. Like most of the guitar solos on this is incredible on this
Astoundingly
album.
good. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, this song always been one of my favorites. Love it. It's great. So that's my number two.
Well, so obviously my number one's Photograph. First song I ever heard by Def Leppard, and I think I heard it when it was new. I know I had a cousin that was visiting that had Pyromania, so that the cover I've like it's so striking, right? Once you see it, you don't forget it. So I think I knew exactly what the band was called and what the album was called. I didn't know anything else on the album, but I do remember hearing Photograph, and this was a time really before I didn't have access to music videos, and I wasn't listening to top 40 radio at this point. That would be like another year and a half before before I started really paying attention to the radio. Of course, by that time, you didn't hear Def Leppard until Hysteria came out. So it seemed old, like by 1987, 1983 was 100 years ago. But I do remember hearing it in its time, and I've always liked the song. And it's the first video I ever did see, even though I don't think I saw the video for 2 more years. And I totally understand where you are coming from hearing a song too much. I totally get that. And probably the biggest example of that for me is Journey's Don't Stop Believin', because that
Oh,
used to be, I'm still a big fan of that band, but that used to be one of my all-time favorite songs. But between radio and being on TV and used in movies, it's ruined for me now. I
that's
need
this.
I need
It's true for me.
never, yeah, I
Yeah.
need never ever hear it again. Now, I will say that there is a difference. There's a difference if you're listening to the album that it's on,
Very
then
true.
it
Yeah.
is your choice. But when
Yes.
you're just inundated with it and you don't have any choice whether you hear it or not, it comes on. I have to change the channel. And
Yeah.
it really bothers me because that band has so many other great songs that they could put in its place and give it a little bit of a break, but they don't. So I understand, and if there was one Def Leppard song that is like that for me, it's probably the song that made me a fan, which is Pour Some Sugar on Me. I've just heard it so many times. For some
Yes.
reason, and this is just a matter of degrees, there are some songs which I call perfect songs and I call bulletproof songs, where it doesn't matter how many times I hear them. When it comes on, I don't change the channel and I listen
Hold the
to it. And
line.
sometimes I even Hold the Line is like that for me.
Yes.
I'm going to say Run to You by Bryan Adams. I will never, ever get tired of that song. There are just songs that just there's something about it. For Journey, it would be Separate Ways. But some songs
Agreed.
just there's something about the way they come they come on that is just like you're engaged already. It's not like, so with Photograph, I've never heard it and thought, not this again. But I understand because it does get a lot of play. I think it is a brilliantly written song, and I can see why, when this was presented to the record label, why they said that's the first single, and this is going to change everything for this band, and it did. They'd never done anything like that, and I can't think of anything of a precedent of a song that came up before it. But what I can think of are plenty of songs that took that format and ran with it for songs. And one of the best examples I can think of, and I love this song and I love this band, and this is a band that you've been getting into, is I would say play Photograph, really analyze the parts of it and how it's put together, then play the song Alibi by Vandenberg. And you tell me if that wasn't modeled after that song, the way that it's constructed. Going from like the heavy riff in the beginning and then the chorus to the cleaner guitar in the verses, but then the cleaner guitar in the chorus, even down to the da-da-da, like that part. So I understand it does get a little overcooked, but it's one of my favorite songs by them, and it just, and it'll all, I mean, one thing that will never change, it'll always be the first song I ever heard, and that's kind of a very important thing. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty hard for me to pick anything else, but I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. But this is not a song, if it comes up on the radio or even if you listen to the album, it's not like I skip it or change the channel or anything like that. I always listen to albums all the way through. Like they're very, very rarely I skip a song. Like it almost never happens. And if something comes up on the radio, which I rarely listen to nowadays, but when I do, I wouldn't skip the channel if Photograph was played. Now, if Don't Stop Believing was played, I would change the channel immediately.
I know.
Because that's one of the most overplayed songs of all time.
By anybody.
Crazy.
Yeah. No, and it's so sad too. It's become a cliche.
Yeah.
And that's not how it was. It was meant to be, like I said, it would put me in a good mood and
it's a great song.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Yeah. And there's so much to love about it. The fact that it's not put together like your standard rock song. The chorus doesn't come until the very end. It doesn't repeat itself to death, but it's so much, almost to the point where it makes you think that that's the only song they had, which is so not the case.
Yeah.
So I get it but sometimes the popular radio or whatever, the mainstream, they get a hold of a song and they won't let it go. And what it does, I understand there's a demand to hear popular songs, but there is such a thing as like, I can't stand it anymore. It's burned out. There was like, I can only last 1,000 plays. And I think we just passed 1,001.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of patience and a lot of time for some songs, but there comes a time when it's like, I don't want to hear this right now.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah. So my number one is the first song that was completed and written for this album, Too Late for Love.
Wow. That's cool.
What a song.
Yeah.
Love it. And as you mentioned, this is the only song that you could probably call a ballad. So, but it is a heavy ballad, as you mentioned too.
Very much so. Yeah. It's I think the only thing about it that really makes it a ballad is that it's a slower tempo than everything else.
And then again, you get these keyboard things in the beginning, the sound effects. Very
yes,
strange.
Very atmospheric and the wind and stuff, but then you got
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And it's kind of the same feel that the beginning of Foolin' actually is.
Yes, very much so.
Atmospheric, even Die Hard the Hunter, but to a lesser extent, but especially Foolin'.
Foolin' for sure, yeah.
Great. And it's very atmospheric in the beginning of this song, and wow, what a vocal performance. And I love in the verses that you get Joe singing in a lower key.
Yeah.
Really, really like that because he sings very high on many of the songs.
Yeah.
So I like that you get that somewhere in the distance. I hear the bells
Yeah.
ring. You get, and it's haunting almost, a haunting vocal.
Yeah.
So I love it. It's
The
great.
lyrics are great. Like the lyrics, they I'm not really sure what it's about, but it paints a picture. It's very, very cinematic.
Standing by the trapdoor,
Yeah.
and the actor and the clown are waiting for the cue, and all
Yeah.
that. So
When it comes
it's
to
very
playing life,
intriguing.
she always plays the fool. Like it's great.
Yeah,
It's
so
really
it's
you don't think
intriguing.
you
So,
don't always think of these guys as like lyrical geniuses, but that's a cool that this song almost reads like poetry.
yeah, so I think it's great. And as you mentioned, the vocals also in between the chorus and
Yeah.
is so cool. And this is one of the highlights of the song for me, when Joe sings, "Oh yeah," and then you get
Yeah.
into the solo. Oh,
Yeah.
it's incredible. I love it.
Yeah.
And that solo, I'm not sure who plays it. I think it's Phil Collin, but I'm not sure. It could be
It's
Steve Clark.
there aren't really a lot of fast parts in it, so it wouldn't surprise me if it was Steve,
Maybe
but
it is Steve.
I'm not really sure. But yeah, no, it's so dynamic and it's almost I don't know, it's almost too busy to be a radio single.
Yeah. And at the end of that solo, you get that kind of sound effect there.
Again, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's cool. And then you get that part standing by the trapdoor and all that. I
Yeah.
think it's so great. And also the ad libs at the end, where Joe sings at
Yeah.
the very end.
Yeah,
I
it's a
just
little
love it.
late. Yeah.
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 I think it's great. And I'm a huge fan of fade outs. I don't
Yeah.
care what people say. I
It
love
works for
fade
this
outs.
song. This song doesn't need to come
Great
to a
fade out.
full stop. It needs to leave you, it almost leaves like it's unresolved.
Yeah,
Like,
you,
well,
it
what
leaves you
happened to
wanting
this
more.
person?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, my favorite song definitely has always been my favorite song on this album. And I think the positioning of the song on the album, the fourth track,
Very, yeah,
perfect.
makes sense because it
Perfect.
comes in between the two heaviest songs on the album. So it's a nice, and
Yes.
so it's a nice breather,
Yep.
and yet it's pretty heavy itself. It's just that it's
Exactly.
the shifts in tempo make a lot of sense. And this song actually, I think they tried to sort of revive it a little bit because I do remember that after the In the Round in Your Face home video came out, the clip from this did get a little bit of video play by itself.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I love this video also. The supersonic, they call it, from the Historia
Yeah.
compilation, video compilation. I think it's great. I think it's on a Japanese TV show or something like that.
I
They
think that
play
was
it.
Rock Till You Drop.
Maybe it
I
is.
think
Maybe
that
it is.
it's Too Late for Love. It's a very dark set. It looks like the
Yeah.
set of a TV show, but
Yeah.
not too much. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
At least they don't have
So
Rick's drums out front like Hello America.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, that was our list. This was
Yeah.
awesome.
This was
And
fun to
some of the
do. Yeah.
stuff was we had in common, but
Exact.
some,
And then
yeah, and some of the stuff was
very
completely
different.
different.
Yeah.
So this was really awesome, really great.